And having to have a hub, a fashion hub in a school or in a school setting, maybe in a government school or in an higher institution, is going to give a lot of fashion enthusiasts, people that are really interested in fashion, to do fashion alongside with their academic. And sincerely speaking, they'll be fine. Like for me, for an example, during my days in the university, I was a fashion designer and I was still doing my academic alongside. And funny enough, even the education actually gave me a bigger opportunity to expand my fashion industry. It actually exposed me to what a grant is. I at least I won like two or three grants during my stay in the university, and I was able to make a lot of creativity. And that was the time the school wanted me to create a clothing for some set of students going to represent Nigeria in USA, and I was contacted. So the idea of creativity is something that has to be put together when it comes to the education line and fashion together. So bringing both of them together, we make fashion really expand. Now we want to agree. A lot of people used to say we have you can do fashion. You don't need to go to school. You can do fashion. You don't need any basic knowledge of education. But me, I'm putting it to you now. There are better and bigger opportunities if you are doing fashion in line together with your academic, or you are doing your academic, you're doing your education, and they are involving fashion to be there strictly because of the creativity that is there. Because you want to think outside the box. You go outside, you see a lot of people, and you'll be able to know, okay, this is what they do here, this is what they do here, and we are good to go. Thank you so much.
I like where you started from. You had a school that supported your dream. I mean, at the early stage of in the university, you were exposed to grant. So I want to ask this. Did the school actually get any funding at all to be able to achieve this? Or how was the school able, to push you to that level?
Okay, permit me to say this. I finished from the University of Lagos, and funny enough, how I just saw the post. I can't even remember where I saw the post. They say, okay, if you have a small scale business, you can just bring it on. There's a grant for you. I'm talking about 2016, 2017. And I just applied. I was in my 100 level then. I applied, and I came in second. I came out second, and they gave me 100,000 then. That 100,000 was the first thing I used to buy my machine, my industrial machine today. So now, I don't know if there's a grant for, maybe government is allocating money for that as at that time. But later, when I got into the system, I got to know some people in the academic, in the industry, the knock and academic staff. I got to know that that particular grant was coming from a sector under the university alumni. So that was one. Then there was another one that they brought out, and this time around, it was the university that was even bringing that fund, and that was I can trace that back um, to the administration of the ex-VC of the University of Lagos, Professor Ogudikwe, and it was named BITE. BITE is Business Innovation Technology. I've forgotten the E. I think entrepreneur or something like that. So then there was a grant for that. So I think the first was given 2 million naira. The second was given 1.5 million naira, and the second, I mean, the third was given maybe 800,000 naira. So these are grants. So the school initiated that. This was coming from the school. So I don't know if there's a government allocated fund for it, and if there's no one, I think the government is now supposed to look into things like that, because whether we like it or not, the graduates they are producing every year, and 100% of them cannot use their certificate to do any job. Some of them will still venture into being an.
If I may come in, what was the criteria for that grant? Was it that you were exceptionally brilliant, or was it just open to anybody? What criteria was used to fine tune and eventually pick you? That's where I'm going to.
Okay, it was open to everybody, and funny enough, I was the least student um, in that yeah those that they were shortlisted. I think some of them were 400 level, 300 level. I was there and I was in 100 level. But one of the things I felt made them shortlisted me to be as part of the candidate was I had an existing business. I've been doing my business, the little I can do, and I was able to provide evidences. Okay, this is what I have done so far. This is what I'm doing at the moment. This is what I really need. So I think the process and the progress of what I've been doing was part of the thing that they looked into for them to give me that particular grant. That's all I can say on that.
Thank you so much, Faith. I want to, if Unilag or if other universities, be it federal or state universities, and even polytechnics and colleges of education can do what they emulate what Unilag does, I think it will be very, very good for some of our young men, young ladies who are coming from the university. Before they graduate, they would have been entrepreneurs and people who employ labor like you. I want to say congratulations, quite, even though it's late. But now, moving on, I want to know, what part of fashion were you engaged in? Were you the kind of person in school that make do with the jeans and the shirt, or you make do with African prints? Because that's quite important. And I'm asking that question because we need to promote our local market.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, when I started fashion, I'm doing strictly male outfits, and I was even into the native part and the corporate part, that is suit making and native making. So bouncing back to the African print, obviously, the African print we have in Nigeria, we can tag to Nigeria, is the popularly known as the Ankara in quotes. And like the same way when you see a Ghana print, you know what a Ghana print look like. The same way a Rwanda or Ethiopia print, they have their own unique print. But for Nigeria, we have Ankara, and which is part of the native that we do. And of recent, back there, it's backing it to maybe 10 years ago when we have our ex-president, President Goodluck Jonathan. Then we now have a native kind of from the Niger Delta, which now circulated to the southwest. That's what they call the senator. They generally call it senator material, where you have a plain up, you have a plain down, the same color of material, which is still under the family of making native. But we cannot emphasize that the suit making we are making in Nigeria, though, is what we copied from from the Oyibos and that's about strictly for Nigeria or for Africa. Ankara is our major thing, and we can still create a lot of things from these things. It can never be eradicated. It cannot, because only on the condition that we cease to stop wearing clothes every day of our life. Thank you.
Okay, now, Faith, talk to us rather about the market, the Ankara market, whether the one in Ghanaian print, the senator wear, the print, the market here in Nigeria, and your reach. If your clients are only Africans, or you've been able to do this and to ship even to other African countries, or to ship to America, or to ship to US, whether be it Africans or whites or other non-Africans demanding this. Talk to us about the market. Is it lucrative? How big is it?
Okay, from my own point of view and for my company, I can say it's lucrative because I've sent clothes outside the country, US, Canada, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Ghana, I think South Africa as well. And one of the things why I can really say is lucrative is that getting an African print over there in their country is more expensive. Like I mean, more expensive over there than for them getting it here in our country and we sending it over to them. Now, the point of lucrativity comes in when we know that if you compare the charge of what they are charging them over there in their country, let's assume it is 100%. And here in Nigeria, if I want to do it for my fellow Nigerian, I can charge him 20%. In a situation whereby if I tell them to pay a 50%, which is more than the 20%, like 30%.
Sorry, Faith. Sorry. Now, sorry to interrupt you. Now, this is business, economy, and development. Sometimes I need you to be specific and explicit about the money. Okay? $100, $200, or $70. Well, maybe for Nigeria, if I had to do an up and down Ankara, maybe I charge 50,000 or I charge 25,000. Sometimes we just need you to mention that because it provides us details on how we give analysis to these issues.
All right. Okay. Currently in Nigeria, for my company, if I'm making an African print, for if in our Nigeria community, we are looking at least 100,000 naira. That's more or less like $17,000, $70 equivalent, if I'm not mistaken. Then over there, maybe outside the country, if you are making that same African print and you want them to deliver, like maybe you're making it over there, they'll tell you you should pay like maybe $400, $500, which is like more or less like times 7 or times 8 of what we are making here in Nigeria. Now, the lucrative part of it is if I'm making that same thing and I know it's going to that country, I will not make it exactly that money. I can decide to increase it to $250, which is still lesser than what they can afford to buy it over there, which is more or less like a times 5 of what I am supposed to do for my fellow Nigerian here. So it's a business that is actually going up and is helping we fashion designers here in Nigeria. The only constraint or the only fear we have now is the logistics and the amount in logistic likes of we have DHL, FedEx, UPS. The logistic rate is fluctuating, and they'll tell you it's not their fault; it's government policy. So and another thing is sometimes the numbers of days where they deliver the clothing to them, at times it doesn't reach the appropriate time, which is like a challenge to we Nigerians here over here. And is what we feel the government or the logistic companies to actually look at. So looking at the creativity of the part of their business, it is a very good one, and the market is going higher and higher because one thing I know about the abroad people, they love Nigerian outfit. They really love it. It's because it's something they don't do regularly over there in their country.
All right, thank you very, very much. Let's try and link fashion with education. I mean, it's so glad that you passed through Unilag and you enjoyed some of the things of Unilag, and you are even coming out to say it. Some people might have also passed through this same thing and they will just keep mute, but it's glad that we have you, telling us what you enjoyed, as a student of Unilag. So my question now is, from your own experience, from what you've passed through, the grant you got and every other thing, how you were able to get that push while in university, while studying university, should African universities and technical schools be integrating fashion and creative entrepreneurs into their curricula?
Yes, a capital yes to that. And I can tell you for sure, University of Lagos has started that route now. University of Lagos has started that route now. And that is what they are doing at the moment. And one of the advantage of this is just creating more self-employment for yourself. Sincerely speaking, I won't lie to you. For the past, I did I finished from a polytechnic Ibadan. I did my ND, my BSc here at University of Lagos, my MSc here at University of Lagos. Okay, I have my PhD review at the moment. I have never written a job application letter before. In fact, I don't even know how it looked like. I don't know how to write it because I'm self-employed. And sincerely speaking, I'm enjoying it. So because one of the things that will help create this hub, where maybe a fashion or an entrepreneur hub in the school, is to make sure that students can believe that they can pay themselves their own salary. It might not be easy at first, but through hard working and diligence of the students, they can be able to see the outside world even before they graduate. I don't know if you get that. So it's a necessity, or it's something the government should put, or I think NUC, National University Commission, should kindly make sure it's more or less like a compulsory thing to add to their curriculum. And I'm telling you this for sure. If you've not heard it anywhere, University of Lagos has started it because I was part of those that gave a speech in the last one they did the last semester or this semester. I'm not too sure. Thank you so much.
All right, so I also like to ask this because our parents, growing up, you'd see that you're a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, and this, they just wanted you to focus on your book. So how are you able to manage, fashion, reading? I mean, your PhD is even on the way. So how are you able to even balance all this?
One thing led to another, and I think I can basically just give you a very, very of that. What really happened is before I finished secondary school, before I finished secondary school, I was able to. I'll sort the attendance. I'm actually, I'll do it. So sorry, sorry. Before I finished secondary school, I have always had a passion for fashion. Like I really used to love when I see people dresses very well, and so that was what actually got me into fashion. Immediately I finished my secondary school, I just went for the training, depending on when I write jam, and that got me into fashion. Now, doing academic, by default, even putting fashion aside, I've always loved to be a professor, and I don't know how I do it. I don't know. I think maybe because I have the spirit of multitasking, one is not affecting another. Though at times maybe I used to put time into them. Whenever I'm around the school environment, I do strictly my book. I read strictly, and whenever I'm outside the school environment, I do strictly business. And it has always been like that. Then another thing I need to say is that maybe during the course of my study, I lost my father in the early stage, and I had to fend for myself. So I was strictly making sure my fashion business was not going down, because that is where I would see money to do or pay my school fees. So, and me paying my school fees for that, um, I would not want to have a bad result because I know the money is coming from my pocket. So, good timing actually helped in putting fashion and mathematics together. So that's what I know I can say about that. Good timing. I was putting time into all of them very well.
Okay, so Faith, so you studied mathematics in school?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so in other words, you're a scientist, and let me say you're a business scientist.
Okay.
Maybe we've not heard of that before, but it's been quite interesting speaking with you. But I needed to talk to us because earlier on, while you were talking about some of the prints we find in Nigeria, in Rwanda, in Ghana, in South Africa, I needed to make some form of comparisons within the industry here in Nigeria and in South Africa or in Ghana, because these countries are globally or continent-wise, we seem to be at the forefront. And if it is worth about $15 billion, the fashion industry, the way it's thriving in Nigeria, what are the peculiarities? How different is it from the way it operates in Ghana? Look at the finances as well, the cost, and how the industry is moving. What do you think is belling the cat, and what are they doing differently?
Okay. Anyways, I can talk for Nigeria very well compared to other countries, but I know some things that are a bit peculiar to other countries. Okay. And I probably did not say this. I've been to Rwanda before for a competition. And funny enough, it was University of Lagos that took me down to Rwanda. It's even an entrepreneurship competition that helped. So during the course of that, I had to engage some people that are interested in fashion, which we still want to communicate to today. One thing I know is that Nigeria fashion industry is like on the top notch compared to any other African country, because some of the African countries we have today, they are more like looking like the Europe, looking at the Americans to have their dressing, whereby they are putting their African print lower than what they are copying in the outside world. But here in Nigeria, we are doing both of them simultaneously. In fact, the rate in which we send clothes to outside the country is higher than any other African country. This I can say. That's what I think I can be able to say on that in terms of the market structure, the fashion industry, how we can make a comparison about that. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Now, community development. I see you as someone who is bent on self-development, and you're quite young. You're chasing your PhD. That's noble of you. Could you please talk to us more about the need while business and education, or entrepreneurship and education, need to go hand in glove?
Can you come again? I couldn't hear that.
Yes, talk to us about the advantages and the benefits of why education and entrepreneurship or self-development needs to go together.
Okay. Um, anyways, education and fashion, like I said, if we have somebody A or Mr. A doing fashion without education, and we have Mr. B doing fashion with education, even if the person education is not too solid, I can tell you for sure there will always be a difference. One, exposure will give that difference. Two, creativity will bring that difference. Three, the person might be exposed to empowerment, grants, seed funding, and what have you like that. Four, they will have a bigger networking compared to somebody that did not go for education, because you meet a lot of people, especially when you come into the education sector. So this will help anybody doing fashion and putting education alongside with his or her business. It will make them strive. I will tell you that for sure. Compared to a roadside, let me put it in quotes, a roadside fashion designer. So I hope I was able to answer that question correctly.
You did.
All right, so I would like to ask, you have an initiative called Clothe a Child Initiative. Can you tell us more about this initiative?
Okay, all right. Faith Filled Child Initiative. I got the inspiration. Let me say this. I got inspiration from God that back then to December 2023, and the initiative is just giving back to the community. It's an NGO, obviously. Then the mission and the vision of that initiative is to give 10, at least 10 school uniforms to government school students, at least. And what actually brought this up was, I think it was a particular day I was going back to my house, and the way you see government students with a tattered clothes, which doesn't, which doesn't make sense, because I could remember when I was growing up, I went to a private school. I was always well neat. Then seeing somebody do something like that, seeing a children wear a clothes that is not making sense, doesn't clear at all. So now the initiative is just giving back to the community and giving at least 10 school uniforms to students. And by God's grace, I actually faced a lot of challenge. I wanted that initiative to kickstart by 2024, but I had a lot of challenge registering the NGO, making sure I have a certificate from the AEFCC. It actually threw me into imbalance. But by the special grace of God, we kickstarted in 2025. And as I speak to you now, we've done two projects. And the aim and objective is to make sure that we give uniforms to at least 4 different schools in a year. And is what we want to be doing quarterly. So for the first 2 quarters, we've been able to achieve that. And even on my social media, we have the post, we have the video of the one we did, the first one. The second one will be uploaded this week before the week runs out. And the third and the fourth project will be executed towards the end of this quarter, because right now I think they are on holiday, and where we are looking at schools. And also, we want the initiative to go around the local governments we have in Lagos State. At least we are trying to pick 2 different schools. Now, you might want to ask me, how do I know the children that need this school uniform that you feel they really need? Um, it's just going to meet the headmistress or the headmasters. Okay, this is the initiative. This is what we want to do. You personally, you know your students. You know those that are really in need and of this school uniform. You know, there was a particular one. The first one we actually executed was so funny. Like after we chose the first 10 students, the headmistress has to call me and tell me that there's a boy that she's begging on their boy behalf, that this boy is always wanting to come to school, but the parent does not care about him and his school uniform is started. I never had a choice to just add him to the list of the students we actually provided school uniform for. So the First Clothe the Child initiative is just giving uniforms to school uniform to school students, government school precisely, that are really in need. And luckily, the second project I did on that, I got a friend we met in NYIC. He's into shoemaking, and he collaborated with me in the second project, and he gives sandals to all these children as well. And I was very, very happy about that. So that's why, in fact, I wasn't even looking at that point where I'll be giving sandals together with my the initiative is strictly just giving uniform straight to the students. So I guess that's all about the initiative, and it's something that has to be going on constantly, and every time. Even when I die in the future, I know I'll drop a legacy, and somebody will pick it up and will continue that initiative. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Faith. That's quite noble of you. As we come toward the end of the program, I would like to ask. No, I know it's a collaboration and all of that, but how much did you spend in this money-wise? How much did you spend? And subsequently, some of the projects that you'll be doing, how much are we looking at?
Okay. Anyways, like I said, when I started, I had to fake money from my own personal account to fund the first project. I never received any money from anybody at first. So, and I did that, and with my calculation to clothe a child, just one clothing, the uniform, was costing 10,215 naira. 10,215 naira like this. And I'm very keen to getting an authentic and an original material. So I personally went to the market to buy them myself. So for a particular clothes, it was 10,215 naira. And of course, I had to pay some staff that actually run like did the clothing and the whole stuff. So, but I think roughly I actually saved up 100,000 naira for the first project, which I think I later spent maybe 90 something thousand on that first project. Then when I posted, people, good people that are really keen into that, contributed to it. Those that gave 5,000, those that gave 10, those that gave 2,000, those that gave 20,000. In fact, I was so amazed that the professor of entrepreneurship in University of Lagos, Business Innovation, University of Lagos, he saw the video, and he was even outside the country, and he sent me 20,000 naira for it. I was very, very happy about that. I was very happy that he could be able to produce somebody like me, and he see that I'm actually growing, and he could contribute to that project. So right now we are free for donation. It's like I said, it's an NGO. We are not. It's not something we are getting profit from, and what have you like that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Adedoyin Faith. It's been a robust conversation. Thank you. You've shared a whole lot, and I'm sure you must have inspired one or two people right now who are also, towing your path to how they can also, balance school life with fashion or any other profession they want to go through, and still even attain the highest pedestal in education sector. And congratulations. Soon we will refer to you as a professor. Thank you very much, Adedoyin Faith.
Thank you. Can you permit me to say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. To entrepreneurship out there that are seeking for grants, I want to advise you, before anybody will give you grants, they must see you doing something. So you cannot sit down back assuming you have one idea in your head and that will just wake up one morning and somebody just put money to your account and you're going to execute what you need to do. No, start from somewhere. Get evidences of what you are doing. Don't just do it for fun. Take a picture. Even if the picture is blurry, just have it as a record. Post them on your social media. Let people see. Even if you are getting just only one like, no big deal about that. One like one day returns to 10 likes. That 10 likes returns to 100, 100 returns to a million likes one day. So you must have something doing before a good person, let me use it that way, or an investor will want to invest in your business. And that is what has helped me. I keep record of almost everything I do. So that when I'm presenting it, when I'm showing you, I have evidence. I'm not capping, I'm not making out for you. So that's why I need to tell any entrepreneur that's out there, not even fashion only. You can be a shoemaker, you can be into craft, anything you could find your hands doing, you're good to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Akinwale Faith Adedoyin. Thank you very much. So glad to have you. Quite a robust
I
conversation.
didn't want the conversation to stop.
I liked what he said at the end to entrepreneurs, that don't just assume that someone is just going to, manna is going to fall from heaven.
Yeah.
You have to have something doing. I think they say opportunity meets something. I've forgotten that's it.
Preparation meets...
Opportunity meets preparation or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have to actually have something doing. Anybody who's going to invest or give you a grant must see the potential. That is the potential, that you're actually doing something that has not yet, might not have proven some result, but at least it's a potential that it might bring some good result. And that is what that's basically what he was trying to say.
My takeaway from the conversation is he is a fashion designer. He's got his BSc.
Masters.
He's got his MD. He's got his BSc. He's got his masters. He's chasing the PhD. He's a fashion designer.
Talking about determination.
Yes, and you are, he mentioned something quite significant that's very, current business, young business and entrepreneurs need to put into consideration. And that's the way you do business as an educated person is quite different from the way other people do business who are not educated. In fact, education needs to shine the light in your business. And that says a lot about innovation and the creativity that you are informed by virtue of educational background to bring innovation and creativity into your business enterprise.
Quite interesting. So we'll go on a short break. We have another guest and another topic to treat here on Just Africa. Don't go anywhere. This is Just Africa. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudiecenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudiecenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
In an age of artificial intelligence and automation, it is easy to overlook the value of hands. Yet in Ghana, hands still build nations. From Adinkra cloth printers in Ntoso to traditional kente weavers in Bonwire, Ghana's indigenous skill economy continues to prove that African creativity is not just cultural, it is commercial. Looking beyond the surface of heritage to the engine room of informal training systems that have powered generations and could power Africa's industrial future, Ghana comes to mind. In Ghana, apprenticeship is not a fallback. It is the main highway for millions of young people who are learning practical trades like metalwork, leatherwork, carpentry, fabric dyeing, and advanced tailoring. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, more than 80% of artisans are trained informally, yet they contribute significantly to the GDP. This is not unique to Ghana. From the woodcarvers of Kenya to the bronze casters of Nigeria, Africa is a continent of craftspeople. But Ghana offers a model where traditional skill acquisition meets modern enterprise development. Institutions like the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, COTVET, have begun integrating indigenous knowledge into formal systems, developing a dual-track model that combines age-old methods with certification, mentorship, and business incubation. As Africa looks for solutions to youth unemployment, the answer may not lie in importing Western education models, but in elevating what we already have. Imagine if every African country invested in formalizing informal skills, adding value chains, technology, and access to export markets. The challenge, as always, is perception. We must stop seeing artisanship as inferior. Ghana is showing that welding can build wealth and textile design can drive trade. The African hand is skilled. The African mind is gifted. What remains is for policy and investment to catch up with potential. In Ghana's apprentices, they don't just see workers, they see a future workforce Africa can proudly call its own. I'm Moyosore Adebi for Souk News TV.
The Three Wise Men. Iconic sculptures and statues adorn major metropolitan cities of the world. In Lagos, Nigeria, the statue of three men designed to depict the state's cultural heritage and to usher in visitors and tourists into the ever-accommodating center of excellence is no doubt an astounding work of art. Originally built under the administration of Colonel Raji Rasaki, designed by Bodun Shodende in 1991 and standing over 12 feet high, referred to as Agba Meta or Aro Meta, the three sculptured chiefs were placed along the Lagos-Ibadan toll gate to welcome people coming into Lagos State. The statue called the Three Wise Men by many has become a major signature for the state. Three white-capped chiefs, clad in white wrappers, knotted across their shoulders and with clenched right fists are shown in the artwork. The images fascinate and create impressions in the minds of visitors coming into the state, captivating the attention of visitors who look with keen interest, pondering on the messages which the posture of the engraved images signifies. The Three Wise Men has been relocated thrice from its original position at Ojodu Berger end of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to Magodo area before its final relocation to its present site at Olowopopo Drive. The sculpture has suffered severe damages over the years and renovated. Bodun Shodende, through this sculpture, depicted the highest honor that can be afforded to anyone in the eco-greeting tradition. The Three Wise Men, Arometa, Souk Enlightenment. The National Theatre, Igomu, built during the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo and finished in the time for the Second World Festival of Black Arts and Culture, Festac, in 1977. The theater holds amazing treasures and memories. The artworks fill everyone with pride. The National Arts Theatre is visible from the motorway which connects Lagos Island and the mainland.
Welcome back to Just Africa, the show where we unpack bold ideas shaping the continent's growth from culture and business to innovation and development. Now on this second segment, we focus on talent. Africa is home to the world's youngest population, brimming with creativity, ambition, and potential. But potential alone isn't enough. Across industries, we need strong leadership and structured mentorship to unlock that talent and turn it into a global impact. So the question is, how can Africa build a culture of leadership and mentorship that truly transforms talent into engines of growth? Our second topic for today is transforming Africa's talent through leadership and mentorship. And joining us to unpack this robust topic here live in our studios is Emmanuel Kasali, founder of Dallery Consult Limited. So glad to have you on Just Africa.
Also, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I hope I got the name of your
Dallery.
Dallery.
Dallery, yeah.
All right. All right.
Dallery.
Yes.
Dallery. All right.
I wanted it to be African.
What did you say?
I wanted it to be African.
Okay.
You wanted it to have that African touch.
Dallery.
So what does it mean?
Okay, Dallery means wonder, God's wonder. Majorly wonder, actually.
Wonder.
Dallery, when you do wonder.
Sixth wonder.
You can
Or the eighth wonder.
Yeah,
All right, so in your own view, what is the current state of leadership and mentorship, in Africa? And why is it so critical? I mean, now more than ever.
Okay, so basically in Africa, you can't take away, even all over the world, you can't take away the role of leadership and mentorship when it comes to African young talents. And that's because with mentorship, you allow the younger ones to be able to have access to quick growth, quick access to how they can actually achieve their visions or their dreams. And this is because mentorship is coming from those who have walked the path. So it saves them the whole hustles, the whole mistakes or errors they could have made if there are no mentorship or leadership in place for them.
So where would you say mentorship should start? From crèche, secondary, university, or where?
Okay, I believe it should start from the secondary, and that's in that aspect it helps our younger ones begin to understand how leadership cuts across. You don't need a title to actually be a leader. It comes across from taking up responsibility. As little as class representatives, even in their various classrooms, they begin to see that it is not about being authoritative, it is about being an example to every other persons around them. So it should start from secondary school, cut across into university, and even in every other scheme, just like the NYSC scheme we have in Nigeria here.
Okay, so are you currently going through mentorship?
Yes.
You are. Talk to us about it.
Okay, so I've had mentorship through with the Kingsley Okonkwo. I've had also with a barista, which is, I'm trying to remember his name right now, it's cutting out. But I've had also with several other leadership mentors over the years. And what it has done for me, it has enlightened me, it has opened my eyes to see the gaps we have here in Africa, not only in Nigeria, in Africa and around the world. And it has helped me navigate my journey right even before even having Dallery Consult Limited.
Yeah.
This had helped me in how to channel my energy, what to channel my resources in, and how to grow. Though I'm still growing in the process.
You know, when my colleague was actually reading out your profile, you are a leadership strategist, and he was talking about you. I'm sure before the camera came on you, for people to see you, they were thinking, okay, I wanted to see a very big, tall man with a huge stomach and quite big. And when it finally came on you and they saw a young, smart looking, you look like an iPhone, kind of not, you know what I mean by a young, smart guy who's there to talk about leadership. And so I needed to talk more because you mentioned Kingsley Okonkwo. And I think Kingsley Okonkwo is a clergyman.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a clergy. So, and you are going into leadership. I think you are in the infancy of your leadership journey, though you've had some form of experience. So, leaders, either in business or in ethics or in different aspects, they look for mentors that have walked the path in these different aspects. So talk to us about some of the different aspects of leadership that you had interfaced with, the people who are currently mentoring you in that path, some of the things you've learned specifically on that path, and why you will recommend mentoring to those of your age, whether in the university or secondary school?
Okay, so thank you very much. So one of the persons I was trying to remember, Fela Durotoye, which we know very much. I've had mentorship program with him. That's a few years ago. Still, in the long distance, I still learn practically from him. And like I said, what he has done for me is to open my eyes to things practically we wouldn't know, even politically also, especially leadership. He has opened our eyes in the course of the whole mentorship program we had with him. Various talks, questions and answers where we're able to ask questions on challenges we face when it comes to taking up this role, as to also being a solution to the problems or the challenges we have in Africa. And one of the things why I would recommend it to many persons is, aside the whole trying to get information, one of the things I've come to learn when it comes to mentorship is it's a two-way thing. And how do I mean? If you're going to a mentor to mentor you, you should also be providing value, no matter how little it is. And that's why...
To the mentor?
Yeah, to the mentor, yes. You should be providing value to the mentor also, no matter how little it is. I wrote a book on what next, how to choose, build, and develop your career. And I spoke about something that has to do with networking, which can be similar to when you want to get a mentor. Now, what I meant there was we should see networking as farming and not hunting. Most of the times, younger ones just want a mentor that is just pouring into them. However, it should be a farming thing. You're putting in a seed, you're cultivating it, and in the long run, it's going to harvest more than the seed you've put in. So this is one of the things I've learned over time under the leadership of various persons. And like I always say, mentorship doesn't have to be someone popular. It can be someone just close to you, someone who has walked the path to a level that you are aspiring to be beyond. However, the person can hold you to a certain extent before you link up to someone else that takes you further to where you're going to.
All right, thank you very much. Now, Africa produces millions of graduates every year, yet youth unemployment is stubbornly high. So how can mentorship bridge the gap between classroom learning and real-world opportunities? I mean, you talked about networking also.
Okay, so mentorship helps in a very big way because, like you said, classroom learning is different from the ideal world. And this is coming from someone who got to understand that too after graduation. However, I was fortunate enough to take up professional classes which exposed me to practical aspect as we're taking on to the field to see how it actually works. Now, what mentorship does, for example, someone who learns computer science, learns coding, let's use the word coding. Mentorship helps you on how to apply it either into the fintech industry or into the oil and gas industry. They are different industries. So mentorship helps you where to apply those classroom lessons. Actually, you can learn the whole coding type or even be skillful in whatever you learned law. But what mentorship does is it navigates the industry you're actually looking towards. Perhaps the oil and gas, perhaps the finance industry, perhaps even into the tech industry. They have different applications, and this is where mentorship actually comes in.
All right, so I also like to ask this question. Is it the mentee that chooses the mentor, or the mentor chooses the mentee? How does it work, or which best approach?
Okay, I've had to answer this question some time ago. It can be controversial, kind of, because there was a time where we can have mentors say, okay, these are my mentees, these are the people I just want to coach. But life evolves. We now have mentees now walk up to mentors, or one way or the other create a kind of relationship where this person now becomes more of your mentor, and then you can make it official. And so it's both ways. The mentor can do a kind of open platform and say, oh, I'm looking out to mentor a set of persons. I am under one. Ocholi is a lawyer. What I'm trying to learn from him has to do with how to actually be humble enough not to get carried away with the whole media, the whole paparazzi. This is one of the things I've learned from him. So it was an open door, and I latched on it because it was leading to what I want. So for it is both ways. As a mentee, you see someone that's, is walking the path you want to walk to. What you have to ask yourself is, be clear. Like I always say, be clear on what you actually want to achieve, so you don't just jump on any kind of mentor. Once you are clear about what you want to achieve, what you're pursuing, then you look at which mentor cuts across that vision or that goal you're pursuing. By that, you can walk up to that person, create a relationship with that person. But as I will always say, most importantly, ask yourself what value will also be creating to this person. And it doesn't have to be someone popular. You can look within your classroom. It could be your boss for those who are working in workspace. It could be your community leader also.
Okay, business. I wanted to know probably what you studied in school, your career what you currently run as a career, and if you run a business, and why did you choose this path, the path that you have chosen? Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I graduated from Olabisi Onabanjo University, Geography and Regional Planning. However, like I said, I quickly understood how it is different from the classroom to the workspace, because fortunate for me, while I was an undergraduate, I had a school coursemate who already owned his own company, but then I needed a certificate to actually use it for, just to brush up his company. And once in a while, he would take me out to the field, the construction field, there around Ogun State. And there I realized, okay, there's a difference between what they teach us here on class and what is applicable. And when I did my IT also, I got to understand some few other things. So in my NYSC, it was all about, okay, where do I get the practical knowledge tailored to what I
wanted to practice as a builder?
No, not as a builder. So my passion was all about being in the construction field. I could see how people go out to the field, being exposed to hazards, being exposed to dangers, and for truth, they are there to make ends living, and it will be catastrophic if they are going back to treat ailments or fall into injuries. And that is when in my NYSC, I got the opportunity of a course, Health, Safety and Environment. I don't know if you've heard about it. Yes. I took up the course with several other courses that was linked to, because my goal was cut across two industries, construction and the oil and gas. And so I had to take other courses that were related to it. And fortunately, before I even left my youth service, I got a role there while I was serving with a construction firm to bid. And from there, I've been in the construction field, now in the oil and gas field as a quality health, safety and environment professional. However, what I tell persons is there's a transition that happens in your career. You see more problems and you want to solve it. And this is what Better Dairy Consult Limited, and what was it focused on, is on solving business problems for young professionals, those who are still trying to grow their business, those who are still trying to grow their career. And what first birthed it was the book I wrote, What Next? Like I mentioned, how to choose, build, and develop your career. This is because while in my youth service, I saw a lot of young individuals like me who had no thought about, okay, what is the next thing immediately after youth service? We need to get out of that idea that, government is going to provide us a job. Let's be practical with ourselves. We are now in a capitalist kind of economy where it is both the government and the private, you and I, that will build the economy. And so it was that gap I saw and was like, okay, I really need to fill this up. And so aside the courses, I've been learning from various mentors to see how I can impact into younger generations, to let them see, okay, you can do better. You are leaders on your own. You don't need any title. You don't need to be a manager. You don't need to be head of any department. All you just have to do is see your responsibility, take it up, and start from somewhere.
Great. So currently now you are in the oil and gas space,
yes,
and you run a business.
Yes.
So your business is tailored towards meeting those needs in the oil and gas space.
No.
So the business is actually a different entity,
yes,
and then the Dara Ire, right?
Yeah, Dara
it's
Ire,
also a different entity, but Dara Ire is towards empowering and mentoring.
Yes.
Okay, and you are in business. So talk to us on how you've been able to touch other people, because they might think, okay, you want to mentor a few people, and they look at you probably because you have a very young, smart face, and they're like, oh, I'm older than this child. How could he mentor me? Have you encountered such kind of challenge, and how has that empowered you financially, business, economy, and development-wise?
Okay, so several times people have been shocked even when they hear my age and look at my face. They're like, oh, wow, you look 18, you look 19, you look 20. But then, like I always said, what matters is what you have here. And so I have had people older than me, way older than me, 30, 40, come to me and be like, okay, so I'm looking at starting this business. How do I run around it? And I just casually say, okay, you can think towards this way, to think towards this way. This is just out of conversations with this person. And then the person comes to me and be like, okay, I really need you to actually walk me through this. And I'm like, okay. At times, at first, like you said, at first I felt like, okay, so you're way older than me. I should be looking up to you. But then it cuts across that age is no respecter of what you have in here. It comes across what you've actually gone through, the experience. And experience is not actually personal experience. Experience can cut across learning from you. I can learn from what you've gone through. And that is where mentorship also comes into. So I have had to learn from various experiences from different people, both the young, both the old, both even those who have passed away. I have persons who have learned from who have passed away. I respect to their memories. So it has helped me grow from being this timid person that feels, oh, if this person is older than me, let me watch how. No, I've gone beyond that to tell myself that all that matters is, am I providing value to this person? If that is it, yeah, I will definitely go for it.
All right, so in your own perspective, do you think Africa has invested enough in building leadership pipelines, or are we still reactive rather than being intentional?
Okay, so what I would say is we have a lot to still do when it comes to leadership and mentorship, because it's never enough. The world is evolving. We're having millions of youths, like you mentioned earlier on, leaving the four walls of the university and are lost on, okay, what next should I do? How do I navigate this? And so what I would say is we have a lot to do. The government, we as individuals, we have a lot to do. We have a lot of lives to touch. And it comes across as your own little space. You see a gap, I'm filling a gap and see, okay, where can I help this person? And I believe governments too should begin to put more into this. For organizations who run mentorship programs, you can cut them incentives, maybe recognition, if not tax breaks. That might be too much to say, cut them tax breaks. But then, I mean, recognitions can go a long way to actually encourage organizations to put in more resources into these mentorship and leadership programs.
So, politically, young people seem to be learning politics or learning leadership through the wrong way, from the wrong persons. Because when you look at young people who want to go into politics, they have an objective that is not tailored towards an altruistic disposition. It's quite myopic and primordial. They're going into politics because they want to get this, that, and the other. They want to drive a big car. They want to be known. And we could see that the leadership and the quality of the kind of people who produce within that space, whether young or old, has not actually met the expectation of the populace. It's not limited to Nigeria. It's almost a universal thing when we look at the continent of Africa. Why do you think we have this? And how can we navigate away from that? And it's not only in politics, but also in business and the economy.
Okay, thank you for that question. So while we started this conversation, we spoke about where should this leadership and mentorship start from, and I said from the secondary school. And that is because there was something controversial a few years ago from one of the comedians, where he spoke about how growing up, we will see class captain feel like, oh, I am authoritarian, I can beat someone, I can punish someone. Prefects behaving authoritative, and that is where it starts from. The earlier we begin to allow the younger ones from their secondary school, it can even be from the primary school, understand that leadership is to serve and not to be authoritative. And that's why when we look at some of the European countries, the white countries, we see how they engage the younger ones in I'm trying to look for the word, voluntary works, voluntary activities. This helps people understand that, hello, we are all here to serve humans. And so this begins to grow that leadership qualities in them. But when we look at Africa, when we look at Nigeria, for instance, we'll see that these voluntary organizations are fading out. In fact, when we even look at organizations that are trying to to bring out things, non-profit organizations, that is to actually help the society. We see that there is no much support when it comes to that. There's no much limelight when it comes to that. However, there's limelight to things that are I don't want to use the word frivolities, things that are not adding value to the nation or to the continent at large. So I think it starts from the grassroots. Let's start from the educational system. Let's put it into the educational system. Programs, leadership, internships, could be training, could be a kind of outing where they see that, yes, it is good to actually serve people. And this gradually imbibes, or this actually grooms these younger ones to see that, okay, if I'm going into a position, if I'm going into any leadership position, whether politics, whether in my place of work, I am coming in there to serve persons. Let's understand, it is the position. What is going to matter eventually is you, what people can say or what people can tell about you. So it cuts across, going back to the roots, putting this thing into our educations, letting people, the younger ones understand what leadership is about. And leadership, like I always say, is to serve, not for personal gains. That will come after you serve.
All right, thank you very much. So we will go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll continue with the program. It's Just Africa.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Iluebunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer. He was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed, Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinwe Okoli, and they had 4 children. Sadly, he died in March 2013 at the age of 82. Chinua Achebe's legacy endures in his novels, his essays, and in the countless voices of African writers who follow in his footsteps. He gave us a voice, a story, and a vision of Africa that is ours to share.
Welcome back to Just Africa. We're having a very robust topic here with Emmanuel Kasali. Of course, he is the founder of Dara Ire Consult Limited. We're talking about leadership and, of course, mentorship. So I'd like to ask, let's look at the future here. In your own experience, how can African companies and institutions, how can they begin, to build mentorship structures, that would help youth? Because whether we like it or not, we still have a high rate of unemployment. And Africa has the highest population of youth. I mean, we have about 60–70% of youth, which means, we really need to do something about this. And some people see, you mentioned something earlier also that people should not see mentorship as service. Sometimes it could be like that. It could seem like that, especially when your mentor is a disciplinarian. He might, exert some form of discipline, hard discipline that you might want to. So how can African and government institutions, how can they begin to build mentorship structures?
Okay, so to touch on that, so the old discipline is more of accountability. I believe if mentees now see that as accountability, although mentors too should know a touch on when it's becoming excessive. How organizations, institutions, or even governments can put this. For organizations, it starts from the four walls of your organization. And how do I mean? I work for an organization that also does internship, bringing graduates to see how it actually looks like. And I know several oil and gas organizations that does that also. I don't want to start mentioning names, basically. So organizations starting from that, I believe, like I said earlier on, the government, where government comes in, is to start putting recognitions on these things. Many persons don't know that this go on, or this actually is going on. But it is actually, many organizations are actually doing this on their own level, at their own capacity, even though, yeah, we can say more can still be done. So from the four walls of the organizations, internships in a form of mentorship can start from there, where leaders in the organizations are assigned a mentee to tutor, to walk around, to walk that path where they understand how to become leaders of their own, to be able to mentor others also.
All right, so I like the fact that you touched a bit of a nerve here. We're talking about internship. When we look at internship these days in companies, some interns, what they do is just go to the market, go and buy food, go and do this, go and do that. Some never even get to do what they actually supposed to do or came to that particular. I mean, I remember where I worked before, an intern, her mom saw her at the market, and, she was really quite sad. So
bought food as an intern.
Yes.
Bought food.
I did that also. I went to the ATM and it was supposed to be some form of mentorship. So how can we curb this? Is it right? Is it part of mentorship also?
Okay, so I wouldn't say that's part of mentorship. And well, I'm this kind of person. So while I was also one of the persons I undergo mentorship under an organization, one of the things I had to do, you went on an errand, I had to wash a car.
Wow.
I had to wash the car. But then I saw it as a service, kind of being that one of the things that will grow you as a leader is to be humble enough. I'm not saying that's right. That is not right, actually. But one of the things that groomed in me was the humility part, to see that irrespective of who the person is, as a mentee, what you ask yourself is, what am I going after? What is he that I'm going after? And in the long run, there's a level you get to, you can give feedback to your mentor. And for mentors also, this is where feedback comes in. For organizations that have internship programs or even mentoring programs, even trainings is one of the things as a management system professional also. One of the things we inculcate when we're trying to help businesses with their quality is feedback. It's very important. Either you do a training, you do a public speaking or anything, ask for feedback. So for the internship, the feedback now gives you a report on how you went, and it should be anonymous. So for you that had to run errands to buy this, and anonymously, okay, it is not right that I have to go and buy food. So feedback actually is very important, and this is where I don't want to put everything on government, but it cuts across. If leaders are truly leaders, like he mentioned earlier on, then we will understand that it is not about being authoritative about persons. I, for one, pardon me, I like to use myself as an example. persons who have been able to mentor, I tell them, whatever you won't do or whatever you won't accept, then you shouldn't do it to your fellow colleague, irrespective of the authority you have. And so you'll be surprised that whenever I'm even talking to persons who are my assistants, who works under me, I use the word please. Can you help me do this? In fact, if it's something I can't do by myself, I'd rather just do it. And I've had conversations with my line managers at times where they say, oh, you're being micromanaged. And I'm like, no, there's a difference between just over-delegating and micromanaging. There has to be a balance. Leaders need to understand that there should be a balance between these also. At times, yes, you delegate. There are activities that you understand that this person is still working through it. So I don't just put it on the person. Or this person still has a workload and then I'm dumping more, all in the name of, oh, I'm mentoring him or I want him to learn quicker. No, it doesn't work. So it's both ways. Mentors should always seek feedback. That way you can know where to adjust things, because perhaps you don't even know this is actually wrong.
Okay, so Africa, a very big continent, large continent, 1.4 billion people, still growing. And when we look at Africa very well, its economic strength is on the informal sector, or the informal industry. Talking about people who don't work in corporate organizations, who own boutiques, the woman who sells, who have a restaurant by the roadside, all those class of people who run transport, the blue or white or the red and yellow, I mean, the black and yellow vehicles run. Those are the informal sectors. And in the whole of Africa, we're looking just at 400 million entrepreneurs who are powering the system. Do you think that's sufficient? We need to have more. How do we go about it?
Okay, so that's not sufficient, actually. And to go about it is to, how will I put it, is to, like what we're speaking about, the whole mentoring program. So of recent, Diary actually did a kind of training on just a simple design, one of the AI tool, Canva design, for business owners. And this is just to help young business owners, although we are looking at a kind of platform to partner with probably local government representatives to make it physical, because not every, like you mentioned, roadside food seller, the person that runs the NAPEP or the boss have access to understand this whole tech. But what we did in the training was to help those who own boutique, those who are still running or still trying to grow their small business, to be able to do a design themselves and then put out their business there on the social media and then have customers or clients. Before that, we did a kind of financial boot camp just to enlighten business owners, even professionals who work in the four walls of office space, to be able to prudent how to understand how to make generate income, manage income, and how to multiply their income. That's financial intelligence. Not everyone might know how to. There are many persons that know how to generate income, but to manage it or to even increase it is a problem. So these are the ways that area is trying to come into. However, one of our plans is to partner with organizations, institutions, or even government agencies to see how we can bring it down to the local level where it is physical, because that way it touches on as little as the food seller you mentioned, the roadside vendor, or even the local transport man or woman on the road.
All right, so I'd like you to also touch on grassroots mentorship. What initiatives, especially in rural areas, can help young people, see new possibilities? I mean, we have people in rural areas. For instance, if you go to every field in every community, you see a potential footballer, you see this, you see that, you see all those little children going about, trying to wash cars, like something like you did. So what can we do, to reach the grassroots? We're talking about mentorship.
Okay, so this is everyone's business. Let me use that word. This is everyone's business. And how do I mean? You and I, we know the grassroots we've touched from, where we've come out from. There's a level you get to, and then it's important that you pour back into the society. And that is one of the ways where mentorship come into, where you look back and say, okay, how do I help these younger ones? And let's understand that it's not about the whole money aspect, because for some persons, what comes to their mind is, okay, the financial responsibility that comes with it. But then mentorship is not only about financial responsibility. In fact, far away from it. It is about giving that young person, that small boy, the idea that you can be that thing you dream about. All that matters is connecting to the right persons, having the right attitude, the right belief. And this is where every one of us come into. So at every point you've gotten into, you don't have to have the whole million like the billionaires. The little you have, look back to your hometown where you rooted from, even the locality you probably grew up from. Some of us grew up from the slum. You look back and say, okay, how do I give back to this society? Who do I partner with? I have a friend of recent, just yesterday, he's a health safety professional, pardon me to mention, fine boy safety, that's what he does. And what he's trying to do is to speak, what he did yesterday was to speak to the cab drivers around Ibadan, the local area, on how to be careful about how to drive safely, what to do if there's a fire incident. They went as much as teaching the younger ones, the drivers, pardon me, and those who are around the area, how to use the fire extinguisher, what to do if there's an emergency. This is giving back to the society. He's not a millionaire yet. He's not a billionaire yet, but he has seen it as a way of giving back to the society. And one way or the other, he has touched one or two person's life to be what? To be safety conscious. That is another form of mentorship. So at our various space, whatever inclination you have, probably in politics, could be in law, could be in finance, look back to even your community, where you stay around. How do I touch on lives? How do I impact lives? I was speaking just of recent in just a short gathering, and a lady came to me and said, did you study accounting? And I said, no, I did not study accounting. And what I was trying to explain to them was how savings and investments can go in the long run. She's just a young girl, she's just a teenager. But then she looked at it and felt like, okay, if this person have explained it this way, I mean, instead of going around trying to impress my fellow teenagers, or the latest shoe, the latest clothes. I mean, this man has just spoken something that actually has touched a spine in me. And she just walked like, did you study accounting? I said, no, I didn't study accounting. However, financial intelligence is irrespective of whatever you study. It is important for everyone to learn that. So various communities, just to look at your community and see where the problem is, and in your own little way, give back.
Okay, so for me, when we look at passion and the need that you have to meet. You have financial obligations, whether as a married or a single person or a business person, or someone who is looking towards going into business, because it is almost like a cliche that you must have more than one stream of income. But you have passion, which you are, trying to build. And you also have needs. How do you manage both together to be effective?
Okay, so this question is talking to me very much, because we started on, I work for an organization that is into the oil and gas sector, and then I'm running the whole Dara Area Consult Limited, and I can tell you my timing is different from the regular person that just go for the 8 to 5. I have to put in extra work just to be able to balance both the Dara Area Consult Limited and my place of work. And I should let you know, I also play the saxophone, which means I have to, at times I have to serenade programs, I have to lead worship, praise, or even be at a birthday surprise or an event to just serenade it. So what it has done is I have had to actually plan my time well. And it has helped me grow as a person, truth be told, because having to balance both 8 to 5, running a business, and even personal things that I have passion for. But for young professionals, what I would say is depending on where you rooted from. Of recent, I've had to speak on Nepo, how the Nepo babies have it easy than the Lapo babies. The difference.
He's always using those terms.
The difference between, because for the Nepo babies, we'll say they had it easy. I mean, there's the resources already. All that is required is hard work to actually maintain it. Because I always say, yes, as much as there's that platform, if you're not putting in the effort, trust me, it's all just going to fall down the drain. But for the Lapo babies, it means you have to put in the extra hard work, working to actually build a platform. And I can say that is the side I am from. And that is why, like I said earlier, when I have had to keep my 8 to 5 job while I am still building a business. But like I learned from someone, which will make me touch on this whole mentorship thing. We are now in a global technological world where I necessarily don't have to be with you one-on-one to learn one or two things from you. So like what brought me to say that is just of recent, I was watching a video from one of the founders of a popular fintech, and he mentioned something that you're going to get to a point where you're still running your 8 to 5 and your business, where you have to live one for one. You would feel it in your guts that one will definitely suffer it. I don't want to quote a Bible verse that mentions something similar to that. It's okay. Where he said, can a man serve two masters? It's impossible. You will definitely, one will have to suffer. So as someone who is trying to balance the two, at some point, yes, you're finding balance to it. But it's going to get to a point you need to have that I want to use the word sensitivity to understand, okay, it is either you focus on your 8 to 5 or you branch into your business. So as someone who has passion, while you're still grooming your passion, you still need something that is actually fueling that passion. I used to listen to one of the persons I respect so much, Vusi Tembayoko, and he always says, a lot of persons say, well, I need capital before I start a business. I need capital before I start a business. The truth is, you can always work your 8 to 5 while you fund that business that you are growing. Now, for the passion and need, I'm trying to understand where the question is. It the needs of the society or your own basic needs?
Okay. It could be your own basic needs. It could be your own basic needs. It could be the need of the family. It could be needs that you are obligated to attend to. But the passion could also be a business front. But it's not, or doesn't seem lucrative or promising. But you are so drawn into it that it's hard to extricate yourself.
And thank you for that clarification. So it's important you find a balance to it. Your needs will always be your needs. Basic needs in the Maslow hierarchy of law is something you cannot escape from as a man or even as a woman or as a human. And so it is important that you, while you're chasing your passion, you also have something that actually generates income for you. There is no two ways. I, for one, we always say it's, every passion has a way of actually bringing back income. All that it's needed is providing value, and providing value to the right market. You can be providing value at the wrong market. You are skilled in, let's say, trying to look for the word, trying to look for a business.
Photography?
Photography, yeah, let's use photography, and the area you are, it's not one of the things that is actually going to meet your needs. So your question might be, do you need to branch into a market where, yes, it is very, very much valued? That is so. You need to, while you're pursuing your passion, you need to start strategizing where can this passion fit into the need. And you might need to actually revisit it and see how you can coin it towards what can actually meet the needs of the society.
I can't wait to ask you this question. Now, most people, young people are becoming, they've got to a position where they see the need to go to business school. Most of the business schools that we have now currently existing are quite expensive. They can't afford it. And the people who afford it, who go to those business schools, are not going because they want to go and learn business. They're going because they want to go and network. So for someone just left secondary school, is running his business, but he wants to get to a business school where he can get that knowledge, but not the ones that are known to everyone. What kind of advice do you have for them?
Okay, so the kind of advice I have for that kind of person is start where you are. And how do I mean? You necessarily don't have to jump down to the whole, for example, Lagos Business School before you actually understand the whole role of business. I understand the networking matters a lot, but you can work your way up to that, and it starts from actually having a vision, and then your vision now cuts into your goals, and your goals now cut into each target you have to meet. So you can cut your targets to, okay, yeah, I'm a secondary school graduate, and the next is, okay, do I need to get a bachelor's degree or an HND or even a College of Education certification just to network with persons within those 4 walls? Because let's be practical with ourselves. It's those persons you meet in the 4 walls of the universities or the polytechnics or the College of Education that are still going to branch out there to meet other persons whom you can network to network to the next person. So you start however little first. And the truth is, as long as you still have that vision in place, I want to use the word, the nature itself will surely align to you. I'm one to always say that, because as long as you have a vision and you've made it plain, trust me, nature will always align you to it as much as you put in effort. So you started with the basic BSc or Polytechnic, one way or the other, you still have that vision that, okay, the next thing is what other professional course? Okay, is it the business school I'm actually aiming at? Okay, how do I work towards it? Who do I need? Which informations or what informations do I need to actually have that knowledge or tap into that opportunity to have them? And one thing about business schools is there are programs at times that cuts on some kind of scholarships. I've had colleagues who have had scholarship with Lagos Business School, for example, of recent, where about 70%, even 100%, just to get the four walls of that Lagos Business School and learn something. So start small, grow gradually, but having focus, that vision that, yes, this is what I want to achieve, and you'll be amazed. No matter how long you want to take, you will definitely get there.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel Kasali, founder of Dara Ire Consult Limited. Powerful thoughts. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for joining us. Of course, we would like to, have you again back here on Just Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Africa's greatest resources is not just oil, gold, or diamond. It is its people. Leadership and mentorship are the keys that can unlock that resource, turning raw talent to a sustainable impact. Many thanks to our guests, our two guests who joined us on Just Africa, for your insight. And thank you for joining us on Just Africa. I am Olumide Shokoya. I'll see you next time, and as we continue to ask that question that defines Africa's future.
And I'm Oyimpri Kromale. It's great to have been with you all day today. Many thanks for watching.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Iluebunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer. He was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed, Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinwe Okoli, and they had 4 children. Sadly, he died in March 2013 at the age of 82. Chinua Achebe's legacy endures in his novels, his essays, and in the countless voices of African writers who follow in his footsteps. He gave us a voice, a story, and a vision of Africa that is ours to share.
Well, you already know my name is Steve Omojafo, and my middle name is Bamidele. That was the name that my parents gave me at birth, because it was like they regarded themselves as not Lagosians. It is Providence that brought them into Lagos, and I then happened to be born here at Odo Street, Balinde. And in fact, we didn't go to Mercy Hospital then. There was a little home along Odo Street run by a very experienced nurse, Mama Nurse, that's what So I was born in that little place and grew up from there. Like I said, my middle name is Bamidele. My parents
In April 1960, just months before Nigeria's independence, a 26-year-old ascended one of the most revered thrones in Yoruba land. His name, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona. His reign, almost 65 years. His legacy, a modernized crown, a globalized culture, and an unwavering voice for truth. Born 10th of May 1934 into the royal house of Anikinaya to Prince Rufai Adetono Adeleke and Ajibabi Adetono Ne Onashile, Sikiru Kayode Adetono's royal destiny was set early. He attended Baptist School, Ereko, in 1943, Ogbere United Primary School, and Ansarudin School, Ijebu-Ode, before enrolling at Oluiwa College, now Adeola Odutola College, from 1951 to 1956. He later worked briefly in the audit department of the Western region in Ibadan, before leaving for the United Kingdoms in 1958 to study accountancy. But history had other plans. On the 2nd of April 1960, he was installed as the 58th Awujale of Ijebu land, taking the regnal name Ogbagba Agbotewole II. Young, confident, and stepping into leadership just as the new Nigeria was emerging, marking the beginning of one of the longest and the most consequential reigns in Nigeria's history. Despite his demanding role, Oba Adetono maintained close family ties. He was married and blessed with children, who were raised in the blend of royal tradition and modern education that defined his worldview. Known to be a devoted family man, He valued privacy in personal matters, but ensured his children had opportunities for education both within and outside Nigeria. Socially, he was at ease in multiple wards, equally comfortable in palace courts, university lecture halls, diplomatic gatherings, or informal community events. He cultivated friendships across business, politics, and academia, yet was deeply rooted in his hometown, often mingling with his people during festivals and communal projects. The coup that saved a king. But destiny tested him. In the early 1980s, a government commission of inquiry moved against him. Suspension and deposition loomed. The order was to take effect in early 1984. Then came 31st December 1983. A military coup swept away the civilian administration, and with it, the threat to his throne. The Awujale returned more respected, more resolute. Beyond royal ceremonies, Oba Adetona built a reputation as a monarch unafraid to challenge authority. He spoke plainly on governance, justice, and public accountability. In 2016, he institutionalized those ideas by endowing a 250 million naira professorial chair in governance at Olabisi Onabanjo University, OOU, the first of its kind by a Nigerian traditional ruler. It was a deliberate investment in shaping ethical leadership for generations to come. The Oju Dioba Festival long predicted his reign, but under Adetona, it became an international spectacle, a celebration of Ijebu identity, Yoruba elegance, interfaith harmony, and cultural soft power. It drew politicians, captains of industry, global tourists, and the diaspora to Ijebu each year, making it both a cultural statement and an economic engine. Adetona presided over a kingdom of religious plurality, Islam, Christianity, and traditional worship, often using his platform to advocate tolerance. Though a devout Muslim and president of the United Muslim Council, he regularly attended Christian events and encouraged interfaith harmony. And now, the final chapter. On 13th July 2025, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona Ogbagba Agbotewole II passed away at the age of 91. He was buried according to Ijebu customs in solemn rites, shielded from public view. Attention now turns to succession and the weight of following one of Nigeria's longest-serving traditional rulers. Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona reigned across three Nigerias: the colonial twilight, the start of military rule, and the promises and failures of democracy. He proved that a throne could be modern without losing its roots, bold without losing its identity, and proud without closing its doors. His voice will echo in the university lectures he inspired, the festival he globalized, the cultural pride he nurtured, and in the personal values he instilled in his family. As Ijebuland turns the page, one question lingers: whether or not the next Awujale will match relevance with integrity and tradition with transformation, following the path of the past hero. Grace Komolafe, Soko Perspective.
from Lagos State, from Isaleko. My father hailed from the Olumegbo family. I attended my primary, secondary education in Ibadan at the time because my mother was there. But my religious practicing was always done during the holidays at Holy Cross Cathedral. I was working in the sacristy. We used to prepare for the Mass on Saturdays, and we sell the news magazine on Sundays in front of the church. And I remembered fondly that we used to tease a man called Sunday Boku Boku at that time, and he used to run to chase us and throw stones at, how dare you call me Sunday Boku Boku. Those were fun times. Harvest, Corpus Christi. And I was born, raised, baptized, confirmed, married in the Catholic Church. But I got married to Engineer Larry Phillips, who is an Anglican. And I believe that in togetherness of family, it's best we all do things together. So I moved over with him against the doctrine of Catholic Church to the Anglican Church at Marina, where his family belongs and worships. I attended St. Luke's Demonstration School. We used to climb the mango trees, and there was a mixed school. We used to play at during